My name is Peter. I was asked to perform music tonight, and I was told that the theme tonight would be a theme that involved veterans. And we'll talk about veterans in a moment. Actually, we'll talk about them sooner than that. And when I was asked to perform, I thought, I could do the Lee Greenwood song, which we all know and some of us are maybe a little tired of. But I said, I'm going to write a song especially for a friend of mine who is a veteran. He and I have known each other for many years, but I didn't know the story, his actual story of what it meant to be in the service. He was a Marine, and I was looking for the right angle to talk about his time in the service, because every veteran has a story, and every veteran's story is slightly different. Every veteran starts by taking an oath. And I'm going to put the oath up there, and it reads like this. When you go to the office, the recruiter's office, and you take the oath, it reads this as follows. I, in your name, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed up over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. I know we have some veterans here tonight we'll be celebrating and acknowledging, but I do know that that's the first point. That's the first stop on the trip. So I do solemnly swear led me to the title of this song. Please understand when I say this song is titled Swear Words. This is a song dedicated to Roque Wood Sinclair, who is my friend. The year was 1986, from a home that wasn't home. Just a boy out of high school, to which direction should he roam? When a wingman took his arm and said, we're going off to meet this recruit, a friend of mine, 'cause there's a big, big world to see. He was told me that they'd pay for college, and it was a time of peace. So long, Minnesota, 'cause the choice was west or east. He told me to raise my right hand and repeat after me, to swear an oath to defend against all enemies. So thank you for your swear words, to protect our home and land. When you didn't know when, which you know now, you were quick to understand that when you said those swear words, you would never be the same. A soldier with a mission and a whole new life to claim. With those swear words. At first it was a challenge, but he had something to prove. A sudden breach had now occurred, and now he's on the move to a sandy destination to set up for defense, to protect our sovereign nation from another's ill intent. There's a lot of ground to cover, and a lot that's never told. This soldier kept his pride inside, and emotion kept on hold. So thank you for your swear words, to protect our home and land. When you didn't know then what you know now, you're quick to understand that when you said those swear words, you would never be the same. A soldier with a mission and a whole new life to claim. With those swear words. Now coming back from running young, and now he's gotten old. The bitterness from what he saw and the peace of letting go had given way to sweet release, and now he understands. Once a soldier, and always here to lend a hand. So okay, thank you for your swear words, to protect our home and land. When you didn't know then what you know now, sometimes it's hard to understand. When you took those swear words, you would never be the same. a soldier with a mission and a whole new life to claim by your swear words, by your swear words. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Julie, and I'm president of Amplify Mission Network, and I lost my voice, so bear with me tonight. I am wondering if all the veterans and active military could stand so we can thank you for your service. Thank you all. Now I just want to go through a few things before we get started tonight. If you saw those people walking around with balloons, those are called our meeting mentors. And I heard a good description tonight. They are a walking information booth, and they are here to greet our guests and make them feel welcome, especially if you're new in the room. So some of them took their balloons off, so you don't know who they are, but I'd say if you have a question, go find someone who looks friendly, and they'll be happy to help you. And now, tonight, I want to thank our meeting sponsor. Meeting sponsors help defray the costs of tonight's events so everybody can participate free of charge. So tonight, I want to thank Susan Langer and Spave. Spave is a free all-in-one app allowing you to effortlessly save and give just by spending on everyday items. Susan and Spave have been faithful, longtime supporters of Amplify. So Susan, if you'd stand so we can thank you. Yay! That was really quick. Thank you so much. We're so appreciative. And now, you all have a feedback form on your place in front of you. If you would take a pen and put your name at the top. I know if you've been in the room before, you've heard me say we have a 50% return rate. And I want that 50% return rate to go up. And we haven't been able to make it go higher. So I'm asking you tonight, if you would put your name on it, and while you're listening to the presentations, write down a thought, a word of encouragement, a connection, a name. Even if you only write one or two things, if you would consider turning it in tonight and putting it in that basket when you leave. It's super meaningful and important for the executive directors who've been preparing for this night for 3 months. So this is a way to give back to them for all their hard work. So thank you in advance for raising that return rate above 50%. And now I'm honored to introduce our speaker tonight, who's retired Marine Staff Sergeant Eric Giesemann, who served 2 tours in Afghanistan and was medically retired from the Marine Corps in 2020. Eric shares when he got out of the Marines, he totally lost his sense of purpose and struggled not knowing how to move forward in the civilian world. Eric found tools to help him through therapy and ETS, where he participated in the Warrior's Path, and now works at ETS to help fill the gaps for veterans, and hopes he's an example of what can happen with help and support. Eric?
Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, so I'm going to bring both of these over here just in case. Peter, that song was awesome because that's the first time anybody's ever thanked me for swearing. It's usually stop, don't do that, or if it's like Jesse at work, keep it to a minimum. But when I was first asked to come and speak, and I was told what your guys' kind of year-long vision or mission is live messy, and I was like, I can run with that. So a little bit about me, first of all, born and raised in Bloomington, Minnesota. Grew up at Christ the King Lutheran Church. Went from there to Community of the Cross, which is where I was confirmed. And you could say that I was lost a couple times in my life, and I guess the first time was after graduating high school. I went to college. I went to Iowa State University for about 3 semesters before I decided that school wasn't for me. I had already done 12 years of it. I was going to go do something else. And that's when I knocked on the recruiter's door. They said, what can we do for you? I said, let's go. And so that was in August of 2010. And then January 2011, I was already on my way to San Diego for Marine Corps boot camp. I guess long story short, there's not a whole lot in there to talk about, but by January of 2012, I found myself in Afghanistan for the first time. And I'm going to compare my life being a mess to living messy, and we'll get there. But in 2012, I encountered a mess. There were 12 or 13 of us. We were at a small patrol base. I was on post at the time, and boom, right, IED goes off about 50, 60 meters behind us. And when they finally retrieved who had stepped on it, they no longer had either of their legs. Talk about a mess. And what doesn't happen in real life is taking pictures in those traumatic moments. Nobody whips out their Polaroid, nobody takes out their camera and says, hey, let's commemorate this. But your brain sure does. And I didn't realize that for a long time. So 2012 ended that deployment, came back safe, got ready to deploy again right away in 2014 with another unit who needed mortarman NCOs. I was a mortarman NCO. I don't really get to choose what I said. The Marine Corps said, hey, go over here. So I went over there and I went back to Afghanistan. And that one was a little less exciting. This is 2014, but when we went wheels up, so when we left Camp Leatherneck, which is kind of a central operations for southern Afghanistan, that was it. There were no more Americans there, no more Brits there. Whatever we wanted to pack up and send home, we had done. And that brings me to, I guess, 2015, 16 time frame. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a career out of this recruiter thing, or this Marine Corps thing. I'm going on recruiting duty. For those who either weren't in the Marine Corps or have no idea, recruiting duty is considered one of the most difficult B-billets you can have. So when you're on promotion boards, you get briefed ahead of your peers because, hey, if this guy can handle recruiting duty, he can handle just about anything else. Here's where my life becomes a complete mess. I would say I could put my finger on starting to experience symptoms of post-traumatic stress in 2016 as a recruiter. The level of anxiety that not only that job brings, but my now undiagnosed fear of failure drove me to be a workaholic, drove me to be an alcoholic, and it drove essentially one of the biggest wedges between me and my wife at the time. I was staying out late, I was drinking, I was trying to do my job, right, in the ways that I thought I could. And it just progressively continued to get worse. Coming home at midnight turned into coming home at 2, turned into coming home at 4, turned into not coming home at all. And my life was a fraction. It was a shell of what it was before I started all that. And then ultimately, in 2019, we split amicably. But my life was still a mess. So now, right, so I've gone from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for my first 5 years and 2 deployments to Green Bay, Wisconsin as a recruiter, which was not easy, by the way. And then now we're in Southern California, and I get ready to deploy for a 3rd time, right? But this time it's just to Okinawa. We're just going to get on a ship. We're going to sail around. We're going to stop in Australia. It's going to be awesome. Australia's been on my bucket list for as long as I can remember. yeah, and then one day, a colleague of mine, so I'm in charge of 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines, Alpha Company, 1st Platoon. He's in charge of Alpha Company, 2nd or 3rd Platoon, I don't remember. But I'm sitting down at a desk, I'm trying to fill out a roster or whatever, and I put my pencil down to type something in the computer. He grabs that pencil, and I absolutely snap. And before I know it, people are peeling me off of him on the ground. I said, okay, that's not a normal reaction. Let's try and figure out what's going on. So what I did is I took the time to talk to the chaplain, and what he said to me was, sounds like you've given your pound of flesh. Let's look at some other options. So ultimately, instead of getting to go to Australia and play with kangaroos and koala bears, I ended up back in Southern California to start mental health treatment. And that was a culture shock in and of itself, because before any of this, before I had really realized that I had a problem and that I needed help for a problem, I was the kind of person that was like, mental health, like that's all in your head. Like, get over it, you'll be fine. But now you can't shut me up about mental health. Like, it's a real thing. It's something that there is something wrong, right? And it's something that can be treated, and something that we can do things about now. So 2019, I started on medication. I started in talk therapy and group therapies and things like that. And, it goes well, right? I'm sober through that whole process because, I'm a firm believer that you're not going to get much out of therapy if you're using while you're going through it. But that was only 8 weeks long. The camaraderie that I had built with the folks that I was with went away. The alcohol crept back up, and during all this time, I'm on what's called a med board, right? So they're reviewing whether or not I'm suitable to stay in service, which ultimately was found I was not. So I was medically discharged from the Marine Corps. And if you want to talk about one of the gnarliest messes I've been in, going from the strict routine and rigor of the Marine Corps to now I'm stocking shelves at the new Shield store in Eden Prairie, doesn't quite correlate being responsible for the lives and well-being of 50 to 60 other men to now making sure that there are enough dog toys on the shelf and enough grilling seasonings on the shelf. And I'll never forget the look on one of my coworkers' faces when I gave what I would consider a relatively mundane spiel about what I would do to this guy if he ever did what he did again, and the look on his face, the pure horror of what he had never heard of something so grotesque in his life, which I promise you it wasn't that bad, but that's my opinion, right? And the complete loss of identity, the loss of self, the loss of purpose, I ended up putting myself in a situation to get charged with a felony level domestic assault. And I thought I was better. I thought I was on the road to improvement. But there I was, in jail, and I guess rethinking my life for about the third or fourth time. But this is where I get to start living messy. This is where I get to start telling people, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me? Hey, I need help with this. Where can I get that? For about a year, I tried to figure it out on my own again. And it was fine, right? I tried to go back to school, but I realized that school wasn't going to cut it for me then. It wasn't going to cut it for me now. It was probably not going to cut it for me in the future. So I was like, okay, I think I'm in this place where giving back to veterans is going to help me. And I was talking to my probation officer, and he's like, well, funny enough, we just talked to this guy named John from an organization called Every Third Saturday. I was like, oh, yeah, I heard of them. There was an article in the Star Tribune. He's like, yeah, why don't you connect with him? So I connected with John, and the rest is basically history. I went through the Warriors, now call it Warriors Return, because I think that's a much more fitting name for the program. It's a post-traumatic growth program. It's a self-improvement program. It's bringing dignity back to your life and your interactions, and it's really about the warrior that was lost in the battlefield returning to society. It was 6 weeks when I went through it, and after week maybe 2.5 or 3, we were watching a video as part of the curriculum, and I absolutely broke down. And I remember John paused it, and he's like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, what's going on?" And I said, I remember it clear as a bell. I was like, for the first time in probably 10 years, it feels good to be alive. And just the weight that I could feel come off of my chest and off of my shoulders when I made that realization was absolutely palpable. It also leads me to meeting a gentleman named Steve Sorensen. So when I was going through all these struggles, I had essentially walked away from God, walked away from church. Didn't understand why I believed what I believed, and thought that if God was so good, the things that I saw and the things that I witnessed wouldn't have happened, couldn't have happened, shouldn't have happened. But he told me it was okay to doubt. He said it's okay to have questions. It's okay not to have a blind faith, but to have an intelligent faith. And so for the past, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years now, a lot of apologetics have been involved, and that's gone a very long way. And just that's what I told him. I was like, I want to know why I believe what I believe. So he and I have sat down together at every third Saturday, outside of every third Saturday, and I just hammer him with questions. And every time I leave a meeting with him, my heart is full. My life is just, I'm flying on clouds. And the work that I get to do every day, I get to be in a building with other believers. I get to be in a situation where I can make an impact on somebody's life. And we just had a meeting on Monday, so we meet every Monday over at ETS, where we talked about how just a smile can change somebody's day. And one last thing I'll leave everybody with. Every veteran that steps through the door and has any sort of interaction with us says there's something special about this place. And nobody can ever put their finger on what it is. And I wasn't able to do it until Monday. And I looked at Steve, and I looked at Krista, and I looked at James. I said, guys, I figured out what it is, and it's God. There's no other explanation for it. And yeah, with that being said, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to do the work that I do, and I'm grateful for finding my way back to Christ. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for sharing your story. Now, before we hear from our executive directors, we are going to hear from one of our Amplify partners, Joe Kirk, share with us how he has been impacted by Amplify.
Amplify partners, welcome guests. My name's Joe Kirk, and I've been an Amplify member for about 4 years now. And I remember my first meeting, and it was actually the virtual fundraiser back in 2020. Julie had asked me to just, support. She's always done a great job of supporting me, so how can I not support her? I'm sure a lot of people in this room have a hard time saying no to Julie like I do. But you know what? I'm so glad I said yes, because I couldn't believe just how impactful and amazing this organization is. The outpouring of all of you and support that you all deliver on a day-to-day basis it's pretty incredible. So when I got to my first in-person meeting, it just validated everything I already knew about the organization, that it was committed, that there's a great group of people that really care about, grabbing people and helping them up in difficult times. Or, I think of it like Shark Tank for emerging ministries. And it's a lot of fun. We have amazing resources in the room. And not only are the people that are presenting directly benefiting from this, but I benefit every single time that I'm there. And I'm sure that all of you out there can say that you benefit each time that you have fellowship with amazing people. So really, Amplify has just solidified another component of my life in terms of service and in terms of giving back to people that really just need some help, direction, support, whatever that looks like. And it's pretty incredible. I've been able to do it in a few different ways. I've done the coaching, I've done the consulting. My recommendation to anybody out there that's on the fence about getting more involved in Amplify, do it. You will not be disappointed. And that's my journey, and I hope to see you on it. See ya.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Crystal, and I get the honor to introduce Tom of ETS. So I've had the distinct honor, truly, to get to know Tom over the last couple of weeks and get familiar with what ETS is doing. So I just want to share a little bit about him before he comes to the stage tonight. Tom is a Marine. He has been serving veterans in various capacities over the last 13 years, and he and his wife, Jessie, are the two that have started ETS, the organization you've gotten to hear about so far. He's got 3 kiddos. One is an Army veteran, one is a nurse at the VA, and then another one is married to the U.S. Coast Guard. So if you wouldn't mind, please put your hands together and welcome Tom to the stage.
Thanks, Crystal. So, sucks getting old. Got to wear them. But good evening. I'm humbled and excited to be in front of you tonight and tell you the story of ETS. It began in 2009 with a single conversation with a homeless veteran. The veteran was holding a sign which read, "Homeless veteran, please help." It confused me. I pulled off to the side of the road and I said, "What's going on? How can I help you?" And I thought he was going to ask me for money, but he actually refused the $20 bill I offered him. He said, "What I really need is some underwear and some socks. I haven't been able to change my clothes in a week." It was a God moment as I realized that dignity and recognition of our shared humanity is more important than money. And it's what the veteran really needed at that moment. So the veteran and I went to the local Walmart. We got what he needed, made sure that he felt dignified and respected. And I never saw that veteran again. I hope he's doing okay. And I'd love to tell him what he started that day. After that, ETS was born as my wife, kids, and I began to supply homeless veterans with the items they needed all around the Twin Cities. And 15 years later, ETS now supports veterans in a variety of ways. And here's a short video which explains what we do and, more importantly, why we do it.
So when a veteran comes in our doors, we understand that life can be chaotic. It can be very difficult to be homeless. It can be very difficult to be experiencing PTSD or other conditions. And that it can be really challenging just to walk through the door of a service provider. It takes courage to take that step. And so we honor that, and we make sure that from minute one, we make sure that the veteran feels welcomed, that they don't feel judged, and that they know that we're here for them. We're not here to fit them into a box that we created, but more so to create something that they want to pursue. And so the facility is laid out intentionally to do that. The community space is where a veteran can just take a load off and have a cup of coffee, just relax for a few minutes and put their weight down. The clothing store and supply store is where they can come in and meet their physical needs. Sometimes things as simple as having some clean clothes and something that fits can be really a dignifying experience, and we seek that out and try to make sure every veteran has an experience where they walk out of there with their chin up rather than their chin down as a charity case. The fitness center is here to help veterans who may not be comfortable in a large gym environment, and they can come here and they can work out and have kind of a safe environment to do that in, where they can concentrate on what they're doing and not so much be worried about what's happening around them. We have our classroom space where we hold our Warriors Return course. That space is just full of growth and healing and a really fantastic way for veterans to move forward towards positive change. Rick's Coffee Bar is part of our facility here. It's a great program that we utilize to employ veterans in veteran internships. It's open to the public. It's a full-service coffee shop with every kind of fancy coffee drink, and you can come in and support veterans and their families by buying a cup of coffee at Rick's. You know, we have our office space where our staff does their work. It all comes together to surround the veteran and make sure that they feel, again, welcomed and not judged, and that they know that they're number one on our priority list.
Thank you. Well, I hope the video conveyed the message that although our focus is on veterans, we are in the people business. And at a core level, in the business of supporting those suffering from soul wounds that cut much deeper than physical ailments or even mental health challenges. Issues plaguing the veteran community, such as substance abuse, employment difficulties, relational breakdowns, and even suicide, are symptoms of that root cause, which is an injury to their very soul. Although I can't say 100% of veterans suffer from these soul wounds, I can say that 100% of the veterans that we see at every third Saturday, every day, suffer from those wounds. They're suffering at a very deep level, and that is why we exist. I'd love to clue you in on just a little bit more history before I get to the challenge that we need your help with. In 2016, when ETS moved into a storefront in Minneapolis, we also rented a space used to offer veterans a place to sit down, have a cup of coffee, and connect with each other. What we had realized that was homeless veterans had nowhere to go during the day. You had to leave the shelter at 6:30 a.m. You couldn't go back usually until 5:30 or 6:30 p.m. And so we created Rick's Place, which was that donation-based coffee shop. And it served its purpose beautifully. The coffee wasn't very good, and the space was either very hot or very cold. It was a 100-year-old building, but the veterans felt welcomed and respected. And the place consistently had veterans engaged in conversation on various topics while they got to come in out of the elements and take a break from their chaotic life out on the street. After 5 fun years in our rundown 100-year-old office space, ETS was blessed with an extremely generous donation, which enabled us to build a brand new facility, which served the needs of veterans and their families. Part of this new building was a full-service, open-to-the-public coffee shop. It was Rick's, as mentioned in the video. We wanted to create a vehicle where we could support veterans with employment challenges and fill the gap we found in current support services. Rick's is located about 4 blocks in the VA Medical Center in Minneapolis. And during the planning stages, the neighborhood expressed their desire for a coffee shop. And they have been very supportive of the shop since it opened in July of 2022. The shop is open Monday to Saturday, closed on Sundays to honor God's Day. And veterans are employed as baristas and in maintenance positions via an internship model. The goal of the internship program is to help veterans get rehabilitated and back into the workforce. The internship program is essential to Rick's Coffee Shop. Without the opportunity to provide these internships, Rick's would not serve a purpose as part of ETS, as part of the larger organization. The internship program consists of 3 primary areas: individual goal setting and planning, coaching, and skills training. And here are some details on what this looks like. Veterans are referred to us as possible candidates for the internship from various sources, such as the VA, the Veterans Treatment Court System in Minnesota, and vets who hear about the program and apply for themselves. Once accepted into the program, veterans begin training in both hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills include how to run the register, learn the drink recipes, steam milk, and do latte art. Well, we cheat. We have a machine that does it, but it's still cool. On the soft skills side, they're working on customer service, working on the supervision, punctuality, and providing great customer service. Veterans work 15 to 20 hours per week, and they are paid $15 per hour. A typical shift is about 4 hours, and our assistant manager, Cassidy, does an excellent job training each veteran in a way that is encouraging yet requires accountability. Out of those 15 to 20 hours per week, veterans are paid to spend 2 hours per week just working on themselves. ETS has a life coach and a career coach on staff to spend quality time with each veteran each week to develop a plan for their future. The internship lasts for up to 1 year. Veterans are encouraged to use as much time as they need to develop a roadmap and execute on their vision. ETS provides support to each intern through financial support, resource connections, and time can also be spent with resource providers who have focused expertise in a particular field in which they may have shown interest. Time is spent with each veteran every shift, but this focused time enables veterans to plan a future they desire while in the supportive environment of the ETS family. In terms of structure, I mentioned our assistant manager, who does a lot of the heavy lifting regarding training and reporting on each intern's progress. About a year ago, we had to make the decision to let our original coffee shop manager go due to personality conflicts, and I have been the acting manager ever since. Adding the coffee shop to my responsibilities at ETS has been difficult, and I cannot devote as much time as I would like day-to-day to the operations of the shop. This puts me at the top of the org chart, but it's really Cassidy who runs the daily shifts. I also, as I said, I have responsibilities at the top of ETS, and it's other areas of programming, so I'm challenged to find time in the day to do both. Under Cassidy are our 3 constant baristas. These 3 individuals are not veterans, but they are long-term employees who form the core that make the shop run smoothly. As interns come in and come out, we needed that core of people to make sure we could actually run a coffee shop. The interns rotate through, and I would like to tell you about one intern who recently completed her time with us and is now working in her chosen field with a great organization. So Rachel is a fighter. During a career in the Army, including overseas deployments, she experienced multiple traumatic events that led her to feeling aimless and lacking purpose. After completing the Warriors Return course at ETS, she expressed the desire to maintain her close relationship with the organization and the fact that she needed work to support her 2 little girls. Unfortunately, she was going through a difficult divorce and needed flexibility due to daycare issues. The veteran internship program was a perfect fit, and Rix was blessed to gain an excellent intern that we already knew well. Rachel got off to a great start. She learned the coffee side of things quickly and used the opportunity to brush up on those soft skills I discussed earlier. Rachel already had a bachelor's degree and expressed interest in pursuing her master's. Through many sessions with our coaches, many hours at the coffee shop, a few mistakes learned from, and a bunch of hard work, Rachel began her schooling this past January and is 1 semester away from getting her degree. In the meantime, Rachel was connected with Minnesota Teen Challenge and was hired last month to begin a career working with troubled youth. Yeah. Her determination, hard work, coachability, and willingness to work the process got her to her goals in just 7 months. While we hate to lose such a great intern and a member of the family, we are so proud of Rachel. She's a shining example of overcoming adversity and how setting goals and executing a plan can produce fantastic results. It makes everything we do through the internship program worthwhile, and it shows the possibilities when a veteran works hard and stays focused while in a supportive environment. The program is about the heart and soul of a person matched with the heart and soul of our organization to produce fantastic results. Unfortunately, while it is at the core of everything we do, heart and soul cannot pay the bills. The finances of the shop are somewhat of a sidebar to the main purpose, but we still must pay attention to the nuts and bolts of running a coffee shop. Rick's is a small neighborhood coffee shop just coming up on its 2nd birthday. Neighborhood support has been strong, consistent, and when the weather is good, we get about a 30% bump in business from the VA employees who can walk down to our shop. We average around 65 customers a day, and they each spend around $6.50. I know there's some business minds in the room, so I can hear the calculators going. But each month we bring in around $12,000 in gross revenue. The problem is that our payroll is about $8,500, and our cost of goods is about $7,500. So that leaves a $4,000 gap that ETS, as the parent organization, covers each month. It is considered a program expense, and ideally we would get the operation to a break-even position so we could spend the dollars in other areas. But we face some significant headwinds getting to a net zero position. First, the shop is very small and was built in a way that prevents expansion. When we designed the building, the shop was almost an afterthought. And so we kind of shoehorned it into the footprint that was available. We're already using all the available footprint while maintaining our adherence to ADA requirements, fire code, health code, and customer experience. Also, Rick's does not have a kitchen, so we cannot make food on site. We do have pastries brought in each morning, but we are not able to cater to the customers who are looking for a great meal to go with their coffee or other drink. Finally, it is actually a potential problem to increase our customer count in any significant way. I know that sounds counterintuitive. The seating areas are frequently full, and on Saturdays especially, customers find it very difficult to find a seat. An increase in customer count also puts a large strain on our coffee-making equipment. We could not add additional machines due to limitations on space and the absence of the proper plumbing and electrical. Clearly, these are challenges with no easy answers, so we have focused on what we can do to increase revenue and ease the financial burden. So a few of the things that we are doing. So we've been building out the internship program to fulfill its goals. We wanted to increase revenue in terms of the coffee shop products. We are offering coffee flights. We've invited customers to nominate the drink of the month and get them involved in the shop. We've brought in new furniture to make the shop more inviting and maximize seating. And we've experimented with new food and beverage options. In terms of pricing, we offer a 10% discount to veterans, first responders, and to VA employees. And we've experimented with pricing, but we feel we've got that pretty much dialed in. We continue to work on promotion by handing out coupons at community events, partnering with the app, Yelp, who's been a great help. They're actually coming tomorrow night to do another event. We've been featured in the local paper. We've sent out a mailer. And we're always reviewing operations and hours that we're doing business to make sure that we're capturing every customer we can. But it comes with some guardrails. And based on what we've learned and tried so far, there are a few things that are on the table, and there are a few that are off the table as you begin brainstorming tonight. On the table is the hours of operation. We're open to anything, I suppose, when it comes to, we're open 6 to 2. If it makes sense to be open different hours, then we would certainly try that. We're open to new ideas. We've had a couple of very successful catering events. We're open to expanding on that. Coffee roasting, that's kind of a down the road 3 to 5 year plan thing. That's a big one. Mobile ordering is something we've been very careful about not stepping into too quickly, but it may be something that helps. Staffing structure, and then creating new intern roles at Rick's. A few things that are off the table are pricing. Like I said, I think we have it dialed in. Opening on Sundays, that's a no-go. We won't do that. We can't move locations, and the city of Minneapolis forbids drive-throughs, so we can't put one of those in. So what we need your help tonight in thinking through as we reword the veteran internship program to address 2 components in order of importance is this. How do we maximize the program impact? And second, how do we cover the $4,000 deficit each month? If I have not already, I want to briefly lay out what constitutes success for this program. ETS is striving to provide the most effective, customized platform possible to veterans so they can design and pursue their best future. We want to support as many veterans as possible while ensuring we maximize the opportunity for the veterans currently enrolled in the internship. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for being an in-tune audience. Thank you for our willingness to jump into our challenge to come up with solutions which will change the lives of many veterans to the greatest possible magnitude. Thank you.
So now we're going to take a few minutes to ask Tom any questions you have, whether you are going to brainstorm for ETS or not. Raise your hand. Oh, yeah, you need the mic. Okay, sorry. Raise your hand and you'll get the mic.
I tried to give mine up. Julie wouldn't let me.
Have you done any activities or anything each day, like a book club or a Bible study or something that would allow people to come, groups of people to come in, and where they would be forced in a way to buy coffee?
We love strong-arming people. No, we have had some organic groups, but nothing that we have formed, so that's a great idea. Certainly something we would take a look at and put out to encourage people to come in and buy coffee.
So I'm going to ask two questions since I have the mic. The first is, could you clarify, do you have a capacity issue to only serve 65 people per day? Is that what you said? You're kind of at that right now because of the machine limitations?
No, we have some room to, that's what we currently do, is average around 65 customers a day. Capacity would probably be closer to, we do about 100, 110 on Saturdays. That's about the max.
Okay. And second question, could you speak a little bit to the kind of the mission of the coffee shop and the internship program to kind of give work experience and break back into the workforce versus the mission of the Warriors Return program? Is that the same intent to help kind of reorient to the workforce, or is it different? I'm just curious if there's redundancy or they actually serve different purposes for ETS.
Different purposes. The Warriors Return is more personal focused. It's more looking at yourself and seeing ways you can improve. The internship is solely employment focused.
I had a question with regard to the VA. Is there a way of any opportunity to do a kiosk or any way of getting your name into the VA as well as increase sales at the site?
We wish. The VA has, they have a Starbucks branded coffee shop within the hospital.
Okay.
So that they have that covered.
I have a question around, have you looked at like a trailer of some sort, doing where you're mobile or going into corporations? They hire a lot of people to come in and serve coffee at, like for events and so forth. It's more around the catering side of things, but another area you could expand into.
We have had a couple of successful catering events. What we run into there is a logistics issue. We just want to make sure that we can put our best foot forward before we advertise that. But we have had a couple of successful events, so it is profitable and helpful to the business.
How are your coffee bean sales, your bulk sales?
Slow. We sell in 1 pound bags. We generally sell 20 to 25 bags a week.
All in the store, or do you sell any online?
No online. But certainly another avenue to pursue.
I wonder if you've been able to work with some of the companies. Oftentimes they have employee resource groups that are focused on military, where you can make presentations. They might be able to offer some donations as well as opportunities that we may not be aware of, but in helping you shape internships. Have you reached out? I know I used to work at Best Buy, and I know they had a military resource group because I was a member of it. So I'm just wondering if you've been able to do that.
We have, but it's been solely on the ETS side of the business. So this is actually the first opportunity we've taken to just feature Rick's, the coffee shop, on its own. So great question, thank you.
Do you have, when you guys do catering, do you come and do specialty coffee, like for smaller groups? Because I know a lot of real estate brokers have big broker opens at some of these luxury homes, and I've seen a lot of coffee stands inside those homes.
We've only done a couple. Two we did for corporations, having a quarterly meeting, and that went well. And then one was for the Vikings. That went well also. But again, we're looking at the potential of success of investing in new equipment and things like that, and making sure that we can do it the right way.
Oh, great. When I think of your organization, I think of Black Rifle Coffee and their great website, the merchandising, and of course what John said, volume scaling up with the coffee beans online. Maybe consider that.
Yes, we would love to. I think it'd be not only a great way to produce some revenue, but also a great way to employ interns. So that would be excellent.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Rick?
I think I need to change my picture. That's enough laughing. Good evening. My name is Rick Ponton, and I was over a year ago, I was invited to join the Amplify Mission Network. It's been my pleasure to meet so many genuine people in this organization, and inspired every time I come to the event, because there's just so many wonderful people. And now I'm fortunate to serve as a coach, and I encourage all of you to do the same if you're so moved. But it's very rewarding, not a lot of pressure, just it's easy going. So I encourage you to do that. Now I'm a coach for the Bravo Zulu House, which I'm going to introduce, executive director here shortly. It's quite simply an amazing organization, and I've been blessed to be part of it. A great mission, great vision, and I think we can all relate to what Tim is going to say here. I know I can personally, with family members involved in the military. And so with that, I'm honored to introduce Executive Director of Bravo Zulu House, Tim Murray. Tim? Young man.
Julie was very clear, 15 minutes. Good evening, my name is Tim, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm also the Executive Director of Trinity Sober Homes, and as well as Bravo Zulu House, and we'll talk about how those two are tied. So we're gonna start off here by just basically acknowledging a couple of things. One is these courageous men and women who have given their lives both emotionally, physically, and mentally absolutely deserve another round of applause. So let's please acknowledge these veterans. The next is you're going to learn about the man who saved my life was Colonel Father Martin Fleming, who talked about, Tim, never forget the centrality of the Jesus event. So I'd like to just pause for a moment of silence just to bring God into the conversation. There's some heavier things we're going to talk about here, as well as some great hope that's on the horizon. I'd just like to just take a moment to center ourselves, please. So we're going to start out with just a brief video. This is 60 seconds long. And if this works, I go like this.
We need to win the war on veteran suicides. The VA reports 75 to 95% of veterans struggling with PTSD abuse drugs and alcohol. Therefore, a key root cause of veteran suicide is lack of sobriety. Equally disturbing, there are virtually zero all-military sober housing options either in Minnesota or nationally. We have a solution. Introducing Bravo Zulu House, a unique sober housing facility focused exclusively on the needs of our veterans. Located in a peaceful rural setting, Bravo Zulu House provides our veterans with an opportunity to heal up, get stronger, feel better. Bravo Zulu House is operated by the nation's leading sober home provider, Trinity Sober Homes. Trinity was founded by Colonel Father Martin Fleming and has the highest post-treatment recovery rate in the nation at 71%. Our veterans deserve better. If you've been wanting to help, here's your chance. Click here to give or learn more about Bravo Zulu House.
So 13 years ago, I met an amazing man, Colonel Father Martin Fleming. I showed up on his doorstep. I might have looked this good. I definitely didn't smell this good. I was living in my car, emotionally, financially, spiritually bankrupt. And Colonel Father Martin Fleming and the Knights Men helped put this Humpty Dumpty back together again. And so what Colonel Father Fleming did for me, we are looking to do for other men. So he sat down with me and he said, Colonel, by the way, was the Army General Chaplain in the U.S. Army, which means all the chaplains rolled up to him, and then he reported to Colin Powell. And he liked to mix his military and his Catholic terms. I know some of us people who are Catholic actually believe in Jesus too, so I get that. So I strong, hard as that to believe, shocker, all right? So Father sat down and he said, Tim, I've received inside word that my transfer papers to purgatory are being processed, and I'd like you to join me on a mission to roll out a series of Jesus-centered sober houses. What do you think? Now, if you think it's hard to say no to a priest, try saying one is also a colonel. And so I said, well, Father, I don't know if I remember telling you, but, back when I used to be who I thought I was a big deal. And, there's kind of that. But I'll tell you what, if you can give me a reason, I mean a really good reason, I'll consider it. So basically, I became a man on a mission from God because the one thing that he said was he said without even hesitating. Have you ever talked to somebody and the Holy Spirit just comes whoosh right through and hits you right in the solar plexus, right? Oh! And he said, Tim, I want you to go forth and do for others as I have done for you. And I remember sitting there going, dang, that's a really good reason, So 13 years later, Trinity Sober Homes has now helped over 450 men. We have the highest post-treatment recovery rate in the nation at 71%. We have 4 beautiful properties, 3 in the Twin Cities, 1 down south. And that brings us to Bravo Zulu House, which you're going to hear about here tonight. So first of all, how many of you know somebody who has struggled with drugs and alcohol? Yeah, isn't it amazing? Look around the room. Just hold your hands up for another second. And everybody kind of thinks like, geez, I wonder if the person is going through this or that's going through it themselves is special and unique. One of the things we tell each other in AA is there are no special snowflakes here, okay? So if you know that people, look at that. Too much activity, apparently. Hey, look at Scott helping me out here. Thank you, sir. I need all kinds of, can you follow me around every day? I need help like that. All right. So if you know people who are in recovery, one of the things you know is that when they're in their disease, they have a very difficult time focusing, taking direction, and making changes in their lives. So I want to give you some reasons to consider listening here tonight. The first is you may not know it, but there are 360,000 veterans last year were diagnosed with PTSD and addiction. There are 30,000 veterans who have entered treatment just this month for drugs and alcohol around the country. This week, 7,500 veterans will be leaving a facility to try to go forward now sober. Today, 22 veterans committed suicide, and the time we're here tonight, 3 will have done so. Tonight, you're going to hear about something that you can be a part of. You can make a very big impact on a very big problem. So basically what you'll need your help with, and you'll hear more about this, is awareness building. Our experience is that we've used both traditional and online approaches to creating awareness around what we're doing. That's resulted in donations. People need to hear about what you're doing, and then obviously at some point they'll give. So let me tell you a secret about us, though. You know what? we're really horrible at funding online. I mean, I'm not supposed to say, but we really are bad. We're really bad. Did I mention we're bad? We're horrible at it. So that's just a hint of what we're going to ask for tonight. So specifically, we've declared war on PTSD. Our strategy is we believe strongly that the number one barrier to treating PTSD effectively is lack of sobriety. Again, how many of you knew somebody here who's in recovery? Imagine trying to sit down with that person and saying, hey, let's go to treatment. Let's sit down and do talk therapy. And they're like, great, do they serve alcohol there? Right? Can we get a little cocaine or meth on the way? I'm in. So the government, God bless them, has increased funding for PTSD. Try pouring water on a rock. How much water seeps in? That's what happens when you try to do PTSD therapy to somebody who's active in their addiction. So let's talk about the marketplace. Big numbers. There's 15,000 treatment centers in this country. Hazelden, Betty Ford, those types. There's about 20,000 sober houses. Think of these as halfway houses, places to go from, okay, I'm in trouble here, to places to go from treatment back into some type of new life. Guess how many out of those 20,000 sober houses are all military sober houses that welcome veterans and help them with their PTSD? Absolutely zero. If you're not familiar with zero, it means nada, not nip, jack, zip, zero, none. Zero. Can you believe that? I know. Wow, I get that reaction from everybody. We're like, you got to be kidding me, right? So our model basically is we're a 501c3 recognized organization. The core element of our model is to take what we've been doing for 13 years at Trinity Sober Homes, and we're going to add some other elements. One, we're partnering with veteran organizations. So the VFW, the American Legion, the DAV, all of these organizations statewide have endorsed us. We're sort of the, basically the new project that they want to take on and help. Our men, when they come in, will find a band of military veterans. We'll also be doing a women's sober house coming down the road. It's going to be a beautiful home. Father taught us that the dignity of human beings returns when people have dignified living quarters. And unless you have a dignified place to live, you're just not going to get that level of dignity, particularly if you're struggling in recovery. We'll also be offering PTSD counseling. I met today with the VA, so we'll be coordinating with them to offer PTSD counseling. We'll also do spiritual coaching. Here's a radical thought. Bring God into your business model and you get superior results. Who knew? So we'll continue that. And here's everybody's favorite part. I call this sneaky therapy. So every one of our men will be assigned a dog. We'll be working in an organization called Pause for Cause. And that organization will be assisting. Each man will have a specific dog assigned to them, and they'll work with that dog in coordination with their PTSD therapist. So our model is you must have served in the military at some point for more than 6 months. We do take, unlike other organizations, dishonorably discharged. If I would have been in the military, I would have been dishonorably discharged, trust me, okay? So we take it, hey, listen, why the most common reason to get dishonorably discharged? Drugs and alcohol. All of our residents are coming from treatment. They will pay $600 a month to live there. They do their own chores. They fix their own meals. They're required to work or volunteer 30 hours a week. Typically, we require a minimum of 6-month stay. For the last 13 years, our men have averaged 18 months with us. And that's partly because, here's a shocker, do you know that I went to treatment at age 50? I discovered something really weird. Did you know it took me 50 years to get to be 50 years old? So, did I think I was going to go to treatment and get fixed in like a month? Actually, I did. Silly me. So, we find that these habits that people form are very difficult to break. Sober housing allows the opportunity for us to band together. Our homes will have 1 full-time house manager and 12 residents, just like the other sober houses we have, and this is a very familiar, common sober house model. So our location and plan, so if you can see that map, that's Martin County, just south of Mankato. So we started about a year ago. So over the last year, we've secured support. We've bought a house. We've created a local team. We've raised about 600 and some thousand of our 1.2 million so far. We've broken ground, and we're in the process of remodeling, and we're scheduled right now to open sometime in the fourth quarter this year. So each house is financially self-sustaining. Basically, the economics of the house is we bring in about $7,200 a month from rent from the men. Our operating expenses are about $5,500. So each house cash flows positive. We're one of the unique nonprofits in the country under this model that can cash flow positive. So the obvious question is, well then, why do you need money? Well, for those financial types in this house, this is a CapEx, not an OpEx ask. So we need capital to build these things. So you can't see that, but if you could, it would say we've raised about $625,000. We need about $1.2 million, which basically in 4 chunks is we bought the house for about $250,000, 5-bedroom house. We're putting on an 8-bedroom addition, about $600,000, so we'll have 13 bedrooms. We also are going to be doing the kennel for 13 dogs. That's about $150,000. And then we're also going to be doing hydroponic farming, which is about a $250,000 stand-up. And then once it's up and running, we'll sell the product for sustainability and generate just enough income to pay 3 or 4 guys to work full-time on the farm. So here's what we've done as you just think about our ask for you tonight. So over the last year, I've had almost 500 meetings with people. I put on like 20 pounds, so breakfast, lunch, dinner. But one-on-ones, presentations, trade shows. We've created a Facebook and a LinkedIn page. We've gone from about 900 emails to about 3,000. So we've got about a 3,000 mailing list that's growing. We do monthly email. Obviously, we receive these endorsements. We've got state, local, federal politicians. Here's what's a great thing. This is like the last safe political space left on the planet. There is no blue or red politician who gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to do something really stupid today, and I'm going to be anti-veterans, right? So we have this wonderful bipartisan support, which is terrific. We also have a growing number of corporate sponsors. So over the last 6 months, these are the businesses, and each month this grows. So our ask here tonight is, again, back to this basic model, that if you agree that awareness generates donations, then think about the 3 Ds when people say, geez, Tim, I can't believe that. Really? 0? What can I do to help? Well, I talk about the 3 Ds. You could be a doer, you can be a donor, or you can be a door opener. And specifically tonight, we're asking you to think about how you can help us get access to people online. This is a very quick testimonial of a gentleman from the Navy who lived with us, and then we'll wrap up.
Bravo Zulu, for those that aren't aware, is a term in the military. In my time in the Navy, whenever you did a great job. You did an excellent job. There's no better praise, feedback to get than Bravo Zulu. And so to me, that's just an excellent application of taking the Bravo Zulu term and applying it to a sober house for veterans. Well, when I first came into Trinity, I was very isolated. I was, like I said, in a lot of trouble, and with my relapse after long-term sobriety, so I was avoiding all of that. And when I first came into Trinity, I was grateful to have a place to live and support, and the brotherhood of the place itself is what really helped turn my program around and my life around. When I went into the Navy, I was really in trouble with my disease, and there was a lot of connection and brotherhood with my shipmates and the people that I worked with. in the Navy, and that kind of support of some other men that really loved this country and looked out for each other. That felt very similar to the brotherhood and the connection at Trinity.
So again, it's no longer a secret that we're horrible at online fundraising. So I just want to share with you one last little tearjerker. I got this the other day, and I don't cry a lot, but this one I did. It says, my dad took his life due to PTSD. He was a Vietnam vet. He was the best dad ever. I love everything about this house, and I just read your article in the Star Tribune. I just wanted to say bravo, Zulu, and thank you. People ask me, what's my why? That's my why. So tonight's focus is basically, we need your wisdom. How would you, if you were us, how would you translate everything you've seen here tonight into the challenging little snippets that need to be transmitted online in a way in which it would compel people to give? And just to reinforce it, we have produced exactly 0 online donations over the last year, despite everything you're hearing tonight and despite everything that you've seen that we've done. So clearly, we are not doing something quite right, and we really do need your help. Thank you.
Okay, no, you keep that. Raise your hand if you have a question for Tim.
I have one to start off, actually.
Yeah.
Have you done anything with Google Ad Grants or Facebook fundraising?
We have not.
I'll give you his name and number afterwards.
Thank you.
Can you tell me how many households generated that half the 625 that you did raise?
Our average donation size is about $1,500. So if you do the math there, what is that? 300, 200 and something?
And that was generated from your...
Pretty much my belly-to-belly, face-to-face, arm-twisting, tin cupping, Catholic guilt smeared all over everybody meetings. You're getting it tonight, by the way. You just haven't felt it. Trust me, I've been smearing it all over you.
Okay, that was just information I
Yeah,
needed.
thank you.
Thank you.
You mentioned the $600 per resident.
Yes.
Where's that coming from?
So they're all required to work or volunteer 30 hours a week. So all of our men are going to be more than capable and able to work. They typically will take about 30 days to get a job. The number of employers down in that area have basically said, CEO of Devonish Nutrition said, I will send a van to the house every day to pick up as many guys who want to work in our plants as you can get, and we'll pay them $20 an hour. I'll feed them lunch. I'll even pay their monthly rent if they stay for more than a month. So the support down there, and just to give you an idea, if you draw a circle 30 miles around Winnebago, which is where this is, which basically is encapsulated Mankato down to Fairmont, there's 4,300 open jobs on Indeed right now. So we just don't really think employment's going to be an issue. I thought maybe it would, but it isn't. Yes.
Tim, you mentioned you hadn't gotten any donations yet online. What kind of things have you done so far in that space?
We do Facebook postings on a regular basis. Some of you may have seen we were just in the Star and Tribune. We've been on TV. We're a feel-good story, as you can imagine. We send those articles and those news links out to our 3,000 emails. We have a Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn page. We post a lot of those activities. And, we get lots of likes. But I try to take those little thumbs to the grocery store, and they don't translate to dollars, right? All I get is back. That's it.
Tim, thank you so much for presenting today.
Hey, weren't you on the video earlier?
I was. Thanks.
How about that? I thought you looked familiar.
It's so interesting, and first of all, the $1,500 per donation, that's no doubt because of your enthusiasm and everything that you're doing. I mean, to me, what you guys need to be doing online is just telling your story. You should have people just with you when you're presenting like this that are videoing, and just get it up on YouTube or get it. I mean, I look at this, and I've got a lot of friends who are veterans and stuff, and I'm like, these guys would love hearing about this, would love to hear that somebody's supporting this. And just to kind of, don't worry about the donation piece. I feel like that comes.
Right.
You
Totally
got
agree.
it. But just telling that story, that's just been absolutely wonderful to hear tonight. But I mean, just captivating. I'm not even a veteran. I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, same response as someone else was like, are you kidding me? Like, how is it 0?
Yeah. BravoZuluHouse.org. Just enter your credit card number, no problem. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm not supposed to do that. She said, don't you dare do that. He kind of threw the softball in there. Yes.
Is the goal to continually raise money to open new homes, or are you raising right now just for this additional $600,000 to open one home, and then you will continue on to open another one?
So great question. So I always get asked, what's your strategic long-term growth plan? So our first answer is that me and every one of our men go to sleep tonight sober. Honest to God, that's our growth plan. Now, God will make it very clear to us whether we're supposed to do this again. I learned in my corporate days, back when I used to be who I thought I was a big deal. If you didn't think so, just ask me, I would have told you. And early in my career, somebody said, Murray, great idea. Why don't you go do it once in a row and get back to us? So I'm an operations person. So we're going to do this once. We're going to get this up and running. We're going to run into mistakes. We're going to make, there's problems that we're not going to see. The law of unintended consequences is always at work. So we're going to get one marble through the pipe once, smoothly and clearly. And then I'm very confident that if God wants us to, money will just drop. Because once you have something up and running, like our other sober houses, money comes to you. But starting something new, they have to have people who are dreamers and believers to really help fund you.
Thank you so much, Tim. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to put you to work, but before I put you to work, I'm just going to give you a few details. The half the room with the yellow cards, those are facilitators at each table for ETS. The other half of the room with the blue table cards are facilitating tables for Bravo Zulu House. We'd like to keep about 7 or 8 people at each table, because as you can see, there's a few empty seats up here for those of you that are back there. So if the table's full, we don't want facilitators to be by themselves. They feel lonely and then they get mad at me. So if you will make sure to fill in at the empty tables, the EDs will float around. So if you have a question, they'll be coming around. Don't keep them at your table, because lots of other tables have questions too. Okay, here are my 2 rules, and then I'm gonna put you to work. Everybody who walks in this room for the first time says this room is so welcoming, it's not cliquey, and they really appreciate all the people they've met. And that's because of all of you. You make this place welcoming, friendly, and safe. So to keep that up, I'm gonna ask everybody in a moment to stand up and move to a different table without people that you've been sitting with. You have to move to a new table. And I'm gonna ask you to try and not talk, because you only have 30 minutes to do this. And then I'll see you back here. Okay? Ready, set, move. Okay, we're gonna wrap this part of the evening up. That means you guys gotta stop talking. I promise I'll give you more time to talk afterwards. Yikes. Okay, I have a few more things. I have a few more things I want to go over before I let you loose on cookies and coffee and fellowship. So first thing I want to tell you is on your feedback forms, there's a place where you can check the box to come to the AMP session. And if you don't know what an AMP session is, it's a 1-hour Zoom meeting next week from 8 to 9. And I bet all of you are available from 8 to 9 for 1 hour. And this is a really important time with the EDs, because if you show up on this call, it shows that you are not only encouraged and supporting, but you're willing to listen and to share some of the ideas that were formed tonight. We give you a summary report. We ask you to show up for 1 hour and be present. And don't think that somebody else is going to do it so you don't have to. So next Wednesday, Bravo Zulu from 8 to 9 will be in an AMP session. And then next Thursday, May 23rd, it will be Tom with ETS. So please consider showing up at those meetings and checking that box. It said the opposite. You're right. Bravo Zulu House is Wednesday. Okay, what day are you? Yeah, Bravo Zulu is Wednesday, the way I said it. That's wrong, right? Okay, that's wrong. I'm going to have to talk to myself about that. Okay, now we're on to, if you don't know, Bob Goff is going to be our speaker for our big event on September 6th. And if you don't know who Bob is, he is an amazing guy who's on a mission to make the world a brighter place. His mantra is love everybody always. And he's here to remind us that love and laughter are the ultimate game changers. So if you haven't bought your ticket, you have 24 more hours to get the early bird special. And you can go on our website and buy tickets from there. And if you're a sponsor, you'll be hearing from us soon, letting you know how to redeem your sponsor tickets and forward them on to your stakeholders and friends. And if you haven't sponsored yet, I'd like to invite you to consider sponsoring the event. There's all different levels. And as you know, we don't ask for money in this room. That's our only fundraising event of the year. So if you want to help us keep the lights on, consider coming up and talking to me about being a sponsor. And now, Bob made a special video, short video for us to talk about what he's going to say in September. Let's listen to Bob.
Hey, Amplify family, it's Bob Goff here. I'm so looking forward to being with you September 6th for the Rewrite the Rules gathering. Man, I haven't been in the Twin Cities for a number of years, and I'm itching to get back. And let's rewrite some rules while we do it. Here's the deal. We have these experiences, and then based on the experiences that we either understand or don't, we create some rules. And then these rules can be really great scaffolding for our lives for a while, but it turns out we move on, we evolve, we change, and some of those rules don't evolve and change with us. I made up a rule early on that I would be abandoned. It wasn't true, but it felt true at little Bobby Goff at 8 years old. And so what I did is I made a rule. I'm not going to let anybody go deep with me. Why? Because the rule is I thought I was going to be abandoned. And while that provided some scaffolding to my young life at the time, it didn't prove to be that helpful, because now I'm 20 years old and I can't get a date because I have a rule that isn't serving me anymore. Rewrite the rules is can be to say, take your beliefs, everything that's at the core of who you are, and to examine, among other things, what are the rules that you've made around those beliefs? Are they rules that Jesus would say are the rules he wants you to carry forward in your life? Or are these rules becoming obstacles in your life? I'm just looking forward to being able to be together to talk about that. So go get your tickets. You can find those online, and come and join us for Rewrite the Rules gathering. See you soon.
Great. So put September 6th on all your calendars. It's a Friday night. It's not a Tuesday night. So mark that and be there. And now our next meeting, you're used to our cadence of July, but CPC was not able to give us this room in July. And so our next meeting is June 25th. And here's the deal, that is not 4th of July weekend. So you're all gonna be able to be here and come on Tuesday because you won't be on vacation yet. So we are gonna hear from 2 nonprofits, the Upper Room and DSI, Disability Support International. And our very own partner, Mark Hirschfeld, is gonna be here as our speaker, and he has some cool, exciting news to share. And Jordan Michael will be our musician. So put that one on your calendar too. If this is your first Amplify meeting, would you please stand and stay standing for a moment? We want to welcome you first, and I wanted to buy a t-shirt launcher and launch our brand new t-shirts that we designed, but I've gotten in trouble at church before for sparklers and alcohol, so they wouldn't let me do a t-shirt launcher. So the good news is the t-shirts are in the back, and on your way out tonight, they're all by size. Will you grab one? And those of you who aren't new but don't have a t-shirt or want our really cool t-shirt, How Do You Eat a Whale, One Bite at a Time, just grab one on your way out. So now Taylor's gonna give the microphone. If everyone would go around and say their name and one word to describe what they experienced tonight or what surprised them about tonight. No, don't sit down. No, hand it to the person and then just pass it around.
Holly Callan, I learned a lot. That's not one word, but.
Hi, I'm Maya Engelhorn. I was just going to say I was really impressed with all the visionaries.
Compassion for the veterans.
And your name?
Jerry McLeese.
Marty Dean, good fellowship tonight.
Jeff Hagan, Insight. Robert Burrow, Chicken.
Katie Blue, Willingness.
Bob Joy, and all pulling in the same direction.
Dave Hutton, Inspiring.
Logan Hershey, Inspired as well.
Tommy Dahl, Hope.
Brian Dahl. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. Optimistic.
Ruth Kiewicz, Reinvigorated.
Nick Jensen, Collaboration.
Joshua Smith, Inspired.
Terry, and I learned God is the base of everything.
Keith Gunderson, Support of the Veterans.
Matt Roush, Life Bringing.
Gary Gilbert, Needs.
Mark Klingsheim, I love the passion of the presenters.
Sue Plomban, Inspired.
Christine Voss, Collaboration.
Ken Jogish, also Inspired.
Erin Leckrone, also say hopeful.
Dave Fritzinger, Intrigued.
Larry Krinsky, Humbling.
Chelsea Rowley, Redemption.
Thank you all so much for being here. Okay, couple more things before Peter closes us in song. We're going to try something new tonight. We always do. Tonight, we are going to have a table, or we have a table outside the door with Tim Smith and Forrest Green, who are going to be talking to everybody who stops by after the meeting's over about how you can plug in. We want to plug in your gifts, your talents, and your interests with the volunteer opportunities that we have at Amplify. And so we have a one-page sheet that explains all the different opportunities. We have a card you can fill out and say, I'm interested, contact me. This room works because of all of you. That's why it works. And we need you and your help to plug in where it fits in your time schedule and in the gifts and the talents that you have. So thank you so much for considering. Now there's one final thing that I want to share with you tonight. And if you're new, I want to apologize ahead of time. So here's the happy, sad deal. I'm retiring from Amplify the end of this year and wanted to tell you all in person. And no, the board is not firing me, despite my propensity to color outside the lines and push all the boundaries. I cannot begin to tell you what it has meant to lead Amplify for the past 8+ years. It has been one of the greatest joys of my life, professional and personal, since these lines have blurred for me and my family in a good way over the years. I have been so grateful my kids could participate alongside me and find their own meaning and purpose that comes from serving. But here's the other deal. I am not going anywhere for 7 months, so when I ask you a favor, guess what you're all gonna still say? You're gonna say yes. So I wanna thank you, everyone, who have showed up, been present, shared your gifts, your stories, been vulnerable, listened, learned, and stayed open to the possibilities when the body of Christ comes together, not with certainty and all the answers, but with curiosity, wisdom, and love. And I love all you guys. There will also be an email letter in your inbox going out to everyone tonight from myself and the board to tell you details of the transition. Thank you so much for all you've done. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. Thanks. Okay, one more thing. While Peter is playing, I'm hoping that you would all take your phones. This is where you get to have your phones out. The reason we get better and keep trying new things is because of you. There's a 5-question survey. The QR code is on your feedback form, and it's also up there. So will you give us some feedback and let us know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong? And I want to thank Peter for being here tonight. He is a one-man show. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this event tonight. I represent, I'm co-founder of UnlockedMission.org, where we unite communities through music and education. Last year, we went in and took our program to Wabasha, where we had 20 kids who we introduced the gift of music to through a little thing, simple thing called the ukulele. We taught them how to not only play it, but they got to build their own and decorate it. This is an example of that. And you know what? With the fact that we're in the springtime and the birds are singing, I think it's time for a sing-along. So, can you hear it? Don't worry, come on, about a thing. Everybody sing with me now. Here we go. Because every little thing gonna be all right. We're singing, don't worry. Come on, here, come on. About a thing. Clap your hands. I said every little thing gonna be all right. Rise up this morning, smile at the rising sun. How many birds? 3 little birds upon my doorstep, singing sweet song, our melodies pure and true, singing, this is my message to you. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Don't worry. Come on. About a thing. Everybody sing them now. Here we go. 'Cause every little thing gonna be all right. Sing and don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing gonna be all right. Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. We'll see you again. God bless you.